Hello, I'm your host Jim McClean. Welcome back to another episode of the Banterflix Movie Review Show. Let's see what we'll be talking about tonight in Belfast. We'll be reviewing Bart Layton's new thriller, Crime 101, which is out in cinemas now. Anita Jurkovic will be sharing her thoughts on Emerald Fennell's latest adaptation of Wuthering Heights. Our pick of the streams is Lisa McGee's new series, How to Get to Heaven from Belfast on Netflix. And ahead of the Strand screening of Billy Wilder's classic, The Apartment, we'll chat about the movie here in the studio. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. I am joined by the lovely Joe McElroy.
How's it going, Jim?
Joe, great to have you on the show again, our Hollywood correspondent. It's getting into that kind of Oscar time. We'll have to decide whether we are going to send you to Hollywood again, whether we have the budget here in Belfast. I know last time you were a bit shortchanged.
Budgets were tight.
We wouldn't make the same mistake twice. We couldn't possibly do that. But anyway, the Oscars awards season, it is upon us. But without any further ado, let's move on and chat about some movie news.
Smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory.
So that's a clip of Apocalypse Now, featuring, of course, Robert Duvall in that iconic role of Captain Kilgore. He loves the smell of napalm in the morning, Joe. Very sad news. Very, very sad news. Early this week when we heard that Robert Duvall has posted, I think it was actually yourself, put it up onto our little WhatsApp group, that we have just a tremendous performer. And you forget, not only actor, director, but you look back, you know, his credits in cinema, they go back to as far as the likes of To Kill a Mockingbird. He has a very small but very important role within that film. Most people, I feel, will know him from the Godfather series, Apocalypse Now, as we've mentioned. He even pops up with Will Ferrell and Kicking and Screaming, but there's so many great roles. Like I was thinking of the likes of Network.
Yeah, somebody posted on Twitter a scene from The Godfather where, in a weird coincidence, everyone who leaves the room is in the order of their death in a sort of strange set of circumstances. So the thing about his death is, although he was 95, it still felt a bit of a shock because he's always seemed to be a bit of a timeless performer, because you were referencing his roles going back as far as To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, he was in True Grit as well, opposite John Wayne. Like, you know, you think about that longevity of his career, and one of his last films, I think, was that Adam Sandler basketball film. What was it, Hustle? Yeah. He was in it briefly, but like, you know, he was still performing right up to just a few years ago. And he still had that energy and presence whereby, you know, no matter who he was opposite on the screen, he was going to steal the scene from them. Like, the funny thing about him as an actor is he could pull the performance out of anything. There's a scene in Days of Thunder where he's talking to a car. And that alone tells you, here, even acting opposite Ali McCoy, he can make him look like a good actor in, was it a Goal of Their Own, or League of Their Own or whatever, where he plays that Scottish manager. It just goes to show his range. Like, he could do anything and he would throw in a memorable performance.
Yeah, and you even think, I was looking back, like there's even non-speaking cameos, the likes of Invasion of Body Snatchers. He's there just as, I think it's a priest on a swing very early in the start of the film. Yeah, so just another, a couple of weeks ago, of course, we had Catherine O'Hara, just a sad loss. And it would be remiss of us not to mention. Now, we're going to move on, Joe, to something very different before we get into our reviews. I was scouring the internet while I looked on one website, and apparently Hollywood, hey, they never let things, nothing in Hollywood is gone. Someone will find an IP and find a way of bringing it back. Joe, you're sitting here on tenterhooks. I'm going to play a clip now. I'm going to give you a little taste of what series is potentially coming back to the big screen.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
Meet Roger Corwin. He's planning to steal a new software that can trace a voice signal anywhere in the world.
This season, get some action. Charlie's Angels.
And that's kicking your
Okay, Joe, so that of course was a look back at the classic, bona fide cinematic classic that is Charlie's Angels. Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, recently a guest in Belfast last year. I think she was here. And of course, Cameron Diaz. We had the reboot attempt with Elizabeth Banks at the helm, which I didn't mind, I just didn't love. It just wasn't, I do have a soft spot. I was a teenage boy. I couldn't say I was a teenage boy when Charlie's Angels came out, but I should have known better. And I know there's all the stuff with Bill Murray and Lucy Liu, but are you excited, Joe, at the prospect? And Drew Barrymore, her production company, is apparently behind this. I don't know if you've heard the news that it might be rebooted. You're looking at me. How excited are you, Joe? Charlie's Angels might be back on the big screen.
Excitement's not the word I'd use, to be honest with you, Jim. Like the first one came out when there was like a spate of remakes of old American TV shows for some reason. They became popular again, and for what it was good sort of tongue-in-cheek fun. And then the reboot, I was kind of like, you know, I love Kirsten Stewart as an actor, but I don't think I could bring myself to watch this. There's nothing about it that drew me in through the trailer or anything like that. So I don't know what you're going to do with this one. You know, what's going to be different this time that you haven't already tried, you know?
Well, what I'm hoping for, and I know I'm saying this flippantly, and we are going to move on, fingers crossed, maybe Justin Theroux might get a chance at finally, after all those years, nailing that Irish/Northern Irish accent. But look, we have that to look forward to. We'll have to wait and see. It's only news at this stage, but I saw it as I was doing a bit of prep for the show, and I went, if there's anyone's going to be excited about a Charlie's Angels reboot, it's going to be the lovely Joe McElroy. But that is something that is yet to come. Let's move on and chat about a film we have seen.
I'm real good at reading people.
And what have you read about me?
Okay. You look like a person who has secrets. You got the cars, the clothes, but you can't seem to look me in the eye.
Start by handing me your phone.
You're looking at robberies of jewels, money, or high-value items in the last 4 years. Now, remove every robbery where there was DNA left at the scene. I think all of these are the same guy, and he hits every time along the 101 freeway.
So that's a look at Crime 101. It's out in cinemas now. Bart Layton, American Animals, The Imposter, an impressive back catalogue as a filmmaker. I was a big fan of American Animals, which I think featured Barry Keoghan. One of the early roles I personally remember seeing him in. He does have a kind of memorable performance in this kind of terrifying bleached blonde look, but yeah, it's just a good, well-made heist thriller. I mean, a lot of the plot is given away by the trailer we've just played, but did you enjoy this?
I did actually. You know, it's funny it's called Crime 101. I know it's based around the idea of, you know, a spate of crimes in the 101 stretch of road, but it literally is a 101 of how to do a crime film. You know, you have Chris Hemsworth in the lead as, you know, the stoic sort of thief with the code that he lives by, and you have Mark Ruffalo, whose obsession with catching him is ruining his personal life, and, you know, Barry Keoghan being a creep, as he always plays creeps quite well in the big screen. So it has all those elements, but like you said, it's because it's very workmanlike in its approach with some slick touches that sort of like weaves all those sort of cliches together to deliver something that you don't really get too often anymore in cinematic release. It's more of a film that's targeted towards adults, you know, the big mid-budget sort of film. And in that respect, I did enjoy it. Like, it was good just to sit down, watch something a bit more mature for 2 hours or so. And that was sort of reflected in the audience as well. It was a lot of older people, which was great to see.
Are you saying, Joe, you might have been one of the younger members of the audience when you got to see it in the cinema?
Yes, I was.
Yes, there you go. And that is always a good thing, I find, because older audiences, I'm saying sweeping statement, I know, but they tend to be better behaved. Like you, I mean, I am a fan of heist thrillers and those kind of crime dramas. You know, there is, and I say the term loosely, you kind of get hints of heat in here, particularly in that central dynamic with Hemsworth and Ruffalo. You throw into that mix, it's just great, I think, just to see Halle Berry back on the big screen. Maybe I've just missed a few films she's been in. I haven't seen her on the big screen for a while. I think again, there's nothing about this film that is remarkable. I just sat there in my seat for 2 hours, 20 minutes, just being, yeah, I'm quite happy to watch this. Would I watch it if it was on a streamer? Probably. Am I glad I saw it in the cinema? 9 out of 10 times my answer is always yes. And I think if you get the chance, go see this in the cinema, because it seems to be getting a very limited release, and I guess maybe it's the week that we have. And I know Anita is going to be talking about Wuthering Heights in just a minute, but maybe it's a reflection of where we are now when a film like this, Crime 101, is probably being seen as alternative programming on the week that Wuthering Heights is just dominating the box office. So on that note, I think you and I largely positive about that. It's still in cinemas. It's getting, from what I can see, limited releases here. I mean, it is available at your local multiplex, but I think where there's umpteen screenings of Wuthering Heights, maybe just 1 or 2 that I've seen anyway. So I would recommend seeking it out, like I guess you would as well, Joe. But we've mentioned Wuthering Heights, Emerald Fennell's latest adaptation in, quote marks, of Wuthering Heights. I've seen it, you haven't. But another person that has is Anita, who was on the show last week, and here's her review.
What should you do, Heathcliff? If you were rich?
I suppose I'd do what all rich men do. Live in a big house. Be cruel to my servants. Take a wife.
A wife? What wife?
Heathcliff, you're not enough. Not for her.
As a fan of the Bronte sisters and literature and a reader, I did not like the movie. Visually, it was really appealing. The costumes were great, but the story and the core of Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights was not depicted in the movie. As a filmmaker, I do understand how difficult it is to make a movie, especially on a difficult topic like that, and how much work it takes to make a movie. I do understand that, but as a fan of the book and the 92 version, I am not really a fan of it. Everyone has their own views on it. I do not understand the appeal of Jacob Elordi. He was great in Frankenstein. As Heathcliff, it was a miss. Margot Robbie as well. So I really don't know for whom the film is. Me personally, I was not really a fan. Visually, again, I really like the visuals. If you take out Wuthering Heights, if you take out the names, it could have been inspired by Wuthering Heights. It would be fine, but otherwise, no, I am not a fan of it. I didn't like it. But for the visuals and the costume, I will give it a 5 out of 10.
Why did you leave me?
Why did you betray your own heart?
Where is the obstacle?
So that's Anita sharing her thoughts on Wuthering Heights. She was not a fan, Joe. She was not a fan. I have to say, I went in with mixed expectations. I really am a fan of Emerald Fennell. I mean, we've had Saltburn, but Promising Young Woman, I just think's a fab film I absolutely adore. And considering it had got so much mixed to negative reviews by critics, I went in with going, oh, am I going to like this? But I think, yeah, it's style over substance. The director herself has said, look, it is not a blow-by-blow adaptation of the source material. I think if you want that, I was just saying to our cameraman / producer before we began the record, something like Andrea Arnold's version of Wuthering Heights from, 2010, 2011, is probably more authentic in that sense. I know Anita referenced the Ralph Fiennes version. I will say for this, as someone who's 43 and probably not a fan in the target audience for Charlie XCX, I think the stuff she does with music is fab. I do think Margot Robbie's too old to play that role. I do think for all his hunkiness, Jacob Elordi, if I'm getting that right, is a bit miscast, but he's still a hunk, so I'm not going to fault him at that. But you've heard me muttering about it. You've heard Anita talking about it. As I say, you haven't seen this yet. You went with an older audience to be the baby in the cinema to see Crime 101. Are you tempted to see Wuthering Heights? Is it on your watch list?
It's up there with Charlie's Angels reboot, to be honest with you. No, see, the thing is, I think after Saltburn, I was like, I've had enough of the Emerald. That'll do. Because it was just overblown. Like, and I know you mentioned style over substance, but that just went too beyond for me. And it was like, there's just nothing to this. It's just like, you lift the lid and it's like, oh, it's a very pretty box, but there's nothing in it.
There is scenes where Barry Keoghan, Barry, hello, where Barry does not have a lot on.
And you're falling for that trap. She's dangling the keys in front of you, she's shaking the keys. But no, I wasn't a big fan of that. And the more I heard about this version of Wuthering Heights, the more I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go see this. To be fair, I've never read the book, but from what I know about the book, it is a very strange way to adapt it. Fair enough, you shouldn't strictly adapt things the way they are. Sure, look, we've got The Odyssey coming out later this year. I highly doubt it's going to be a strict adaptation. So, people using that as an excuse. Are they going to use that as an excuse later in the year? You have to be fair in that regard. And to be fair, I can't really judge it in that regard. I can only judge in what I know about Emerald Fennell and her abilities as a filmmaker. And while she can make a beautiful looking film, that's pretty much it when it comes to me and my sort of opinion of her.
Well, look, as I say, you haven't seen the film. It could be the best thing you watch this year. We'll have to wait and see, maybe to near the end of 2026 if you finally get round to watching it. I'm probably of the two that have seen it. Anita is very negative about it. I'm more positive because I do like that style. Because it's when it's all style and no substance, but what style? Costumes are absolutely fab. But anyway, that is two films that are in the cinema right now. Let's move on to something completely different and something you can watch at home.
I don't want to hurt you. She tried to kill us. Grab a weapon, quick. We're ready. We're friends. She wants us to shine a light on this. Come on, girls.
So that's a look at the trailer for How to Get to Heaven from Belfast. It's available now on Netflix. All 8 episodes are there. Primarily, I've asked yourself, Joe, to watch just the first few, but I believe you have watched the series in its entirety, all 8 episodes. So this, of course, comes from the creative mind that brought us Derry Girls, that just took over the world. Even the great, the maestro himself, Martin Scorsese, is a fan of Derry Girls. So yes, of course, Lisa McGee moves on. She moves from Derry to Belfast, now going from Channel 4 to Netflix. So clearly, slightly bigger budget. Here we have a group of friends who come back. They've been estranged. They're brought back to Belfast. Some of them are still living there. And then they have discovered that one of their friends has passed away. Or have they? That's as much as we can say. And they end up on a trip to Donegal that takes them to Portugal, etc. There's a lot going on in this. And I don't know about you. I don't want to preempt too much. I am a little bit disappointed, but I've heard a lot of glowing reviews about the series. So, Joe, where are you weighing in on How to Get to Heaven from Belfast?
Like, having watched the whole thing in its entirety, I was kind of thinking, what? It is like a comedy show with, the mystery element at the heart of it. And the problem with it is those two, the way they're presented, are totally different from each other. So you'll have a funny moment between the characters, and then it's undercut by, you know, a very serious thing, you know, be it a death or whatever, and you're like, well, hang on, it's not done in such a way where the two can blend well together, and the mystery itself becomes very convoluted the more you get into it, and it doesn't really fully resolve by the end, which potentially could open up for a second series. Who knows? That probably will happen, just given the popularity of Lisa McGee and the great reviews it's been getting so far. For me, I find it a bit hard to believe that it's getting those reviews. It's an 8-episode series, but I felt you could make a good 1.5 hour to 2 hour film out of this. I think a lot of it is stretched out, to be perfectly honest with you. There's certain episodes where you're like, do we really need to do this? Do we need to go there? You know, sort of spin your wheels with certain aspects of this story. And I was, like Chef, I was disappointed, you know, given, Lisa's background with Dairy Girls.
So maybe, whilst we're not a fan of the series, I mean, there's still, who knows, as you say, I haven't seen all 8 episodes. Maybe if there's a second series, it could be the best thing since sliced bread. Right, we're talking about something that's produced in Belfast. We're going to stick with Belfast, because as regular viewers will know now, we try to champion local events that are happening here. One of those is a screening of The Apartment at the Strand Cinema. I know it's currently closed, but as the lovely Johanne Leech will explain, that's not stopping them from putting on a screening.
Are we dressing for dinner?
You know, just come as you are.
So you're pretty good with that racket.
You should see my backhand. Where'd you see me serve the meatballs?
Hi, this is Joanna from the Strand Art Centre. While the Strand is closed for a refurbishment, we are at Belmont Bowling Club every Thursday at 2 p.m. for silver screenings. We provide taxis for local groups and nursing homes who want to come along, but it's open to everyone. The film in March is The Apartment, done by Billy Wilder. He also made Some Like It Hot. So if you like a dry comedy, I would recommend for you to come along. The Strand is coming along well, and we are hoping that we'll reopen in autumn this year. We will have a more accessible venue, we will have new tech, we will have a licensed cafe, and we will have an arts programme that will suit everyone, with heritage and film at the heart, but open to loads of different art forms. We'll hope to see you then. Bye.
So that's the lovely Johanne Leech talking about the Strand screening of The Apartment, 1960 Billy Wilder classic at the Belmont Bowling Club on both the 5th and the 12th of March. It's a pretty dark comedy when you sit back and think about it, and I guess in the post-Me Too world, there's a lot of, I guess, problems with aspects within The Apartment. I don't know how much, as two boys here tonight talking, how much we want to get into that. But there's no getting away from that fact. I think a large part of what makes it likeable is, yes, as we mentioned, we've got Shirley MacLaine, who's pretty much watchable in anything, but Jack Lemmon's character, I think had that been a different performer or played differently, his C.C. Baxter is, yet he's doing this horrible thing of allowing his apartment to be used by his bosses so they can use it with their mistresses. It's pretty sleazy, pretty icky, but I think what makes it likeable, Billy Wilder's direction. He has great comedy chops. You know, I think after this, I think is Some Like It Hot. I know previously, I know he'd done the likes of Sunset Boulevard. Very talented filmmaker. But I think it's a lot of what makes this film great is Billy Wilder's direction, comic timing, and as I say, the ever-watchable Jack Lemmon.
Well, the film itself, for the characters, is a HR nightmare when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
You know, everything that's going on with the office.
There's a lot of people going to be going to HR courses. And
big time. But this was probably made pre all of that there stuff, but that's why you couldn't make a modern version of it. But no, I absolutely love The Apartment. It's funny, it's got great drama, the romance element to it works quite well, and it's handled quite well because of Wilder's script. And I've always been a huge fan of Billy Wilder. I think he's one of the greatest screenwriters there ever has been, and there probably ever will be. You know, Sunset Boulevard's one of the greatest films ever made in my book, and I love Some Like It Hot. Anytime it's on around a bank holiday or Christmas, it always has to go on. But this film, that's shot right up there with them for me. You know, like you said, it's the central performances from the likes of Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. They're just wonderful together on screen. And yes, it is somewhat problematic, the central conceit, but if you're willing to sort of just go along with it, you know, you'll have a good time, essentially.
It's one of those films, it still manages, for a film 1960, to still have those elements of darkness, but wonderful elements of comedy. And again, I come back to Billy Wilder. I agree with you, just a great screenwriter, the master of the great last line in a movie. This one, I think, is Shut Up and Deal. It's one for a first-time view, and I think people might find, oh, I've issues with this, but it's a great film for discussion. And as we mentioned, it is screening at the Belmont Bowling Club. Screening's put on by the Strand. They are due to reopen, I believe, later this year. Very much looking forward to that. Driving past the building not so long ago, looks absolutely fab. And as I say, those screenings are happening on the 5th and the 12th of March. Next week, we will feature another local screening. If there's anybody watching who has a film club or a festival, something going on locally, do let us know, because we will highlight it here on the show. But that is us pretty much out of time. Joe, we started the show talking about you being our budding Hollywood correspondent. Since we have you here now in the studio, the Oscars is only a matter of weeks away. Will you take the mantle? Will you agree to once again be our correspondent in Hollywood?
Well, you've assured me I'm definitely going to Hollywood this time.
Yes, I won't make the same mistake.
Tickets bought and all.
Yes.
Nice hotel.
We will not make the same mistake twice. We couldn't possibly, lightning doesn't strike twice. Isn't that what they say?
I'm in.
Perfect. Okay, well, we've that to look forward to with your Hollywood report of the Oscars. And that's us pretty much out of time. So all that's left for me to do is thank you very much for your time this week, Joe.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks very much for watching at home. Again, thanks to Anita and Johanna with their input on the show. We'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.